This is Radar for On the Radar Entertainment with another weekly baseball observation. The Cubs have all year been shuffling who's in the leadoff spot. So recently it's been Rizzo leading off with the occasional Ben Zobrist. Nick Castellanos still batting second, Hayward still playing center field. Bodie's even gotten into games at shortstop with Baez and Russell injured, and this utility player Robel Garcia, who they've had, he's even gotten starts in the times in the outfield based on shifts. Now, with Rizzo injured, the best thing that the Cubs should have done, as I said, play Schwarber or Castellanos at first base so that players like Almora, Happ, and Tony Kemp can play center field and Hayward can stay in right field and you can improve your outfield defense. But I've seen guys like Contreras and Caratini play first base. Come on. Take advantage of no Rizzo. Pirates, they're playing Kramer and Eric Gonzalez in the outfield instead of Pablo Reyes or Jose Ozuna, utility players. These are young infielders. What you could do is just move Colin Moran to first base and play one of them at third base. That would be something. The Braves, Acuna still leading off and playing center field, despite having Ortega and Billy Hamilton on the roster. Marquez, now that he's back off the DL, he's playing a lot of left field and not right field. That's one thing if you want to play Acuna in right field instead, but they're playing Matt Joyce. Doesn't make sense. Nationals still batting at being second. And then we got the Yankees still batting DJ LeMahieu lead off and Aaron Judge second, and DJ playing first base and third base. And then Maven's not playing center field despite the fact that Aaron Hicks is injured. Now, I know if Stanton and Judge are playing corner spots, then maybe you play him you play Gardner in center field. But if you're playing Gardner and Maven, and let's say Clint Frazier at the same time, it should be Maven in center field. Tigers is playing Candelario first base, which is silly because he only played third base because they moved Castellanos to the outfield to make accommodations for him. Mercer's been playing a lot of second base because they called up the shortstop instead. Dodgers playing first baseman Beatty at third base after playing him in left field a lot this year. Don't know what they're doing there. They're batting sluggers like David Freese, Jack Peterson, Max Muncy 1 and 2. Instead of putting guys with contact and speed. The thing that makes no sense is now that A.J. Pollock's healthy, instead of actually playing him in center field, they're playing Bellinger in center field and Pollock in left field, and some days they're playing Kiki Hernandez or Chris Taylor in right field or Jack Peterson in right field, which again makes no sense. You have Jack Peterson and A.J. Pollock and Kiki Hernandez and Chris Taylor. They should be getting starts in center field, and Bellinger, if he's got to play outfield, it should be right field or left field, not center field. And with having Jed Jerko, Kiki Hernandez, and Chris Taylor, and if you give Justin Turner some days off, who should play third base? Max Muncy or David Freese. Don't play Max Muncy second base when you have plenty of middle infielders on your roster. It's just silly. And the Dodgers a couple of times have used openers despite having Julio Urias, Stripling, all these guys that can start. You're not the Rays, okay? Now the A's, Laser Lariano's back. But what is he doing? He's playing right field and still playing the first base of Mark Canha center field. And games where Chad Pinder's playing left field or this first baseman they called up to play left field too. You have a Laser Lariano in center field who could probably win the Gold Glove in the American League this year, and you're playing a first baseman in center field. You did this multiple seasons ago when you had so many injuries. But there are so many guys on your 40-man roster that can play center field that what are you doing? Even Robbie Grossman can play center field, even Steven Piscotty. But you're playing Canha still in center field despite having Laser Lariano back. They just like playing infielders in the outfield. The Brewers, when they need starting pitching, they're using Jacob Faria out of the bullpen. It's one thing Drew Pomeranz, the other guys they got. But Faria's young, they got to give an opportunity with all the injuries they've had in their rotation. Don't understand Grandal batting second and Kissenhira batting fourth. What they should be doing with the injury to Christian Yelich is to play Eric Thames in right field, but they're playing these young players instead, and Ben Gamel and even Corey Spangenberg in the outfield, and they're still playing like Mustaka second base. You can play Moustakas or Shaw at third base. The other one at first base. So Kissenhira can play second base. And Thames can play the outfield. You get all their bats. Astro. With Correa been injuring, Bregman now is playing shortstop, not as Leslie Diaz. Then they're playing in some games infielders like Straw in center field. Then they were playing Stubbs as a catcher in the outfield as well in games. And Reddick playing center field this September. They have enough guys who can play center field, enough guys who can play the outfield. But they don't need to do that. And then the Rockies, Trevor Story's been the leadoff hitter, and Blackman's no longer leading off. He's batting second or fourth. They're playing infielders in the outfield as well when they have enough outfielders in their 40-man roster. Ian Desmond's the exception because they converted him. Padres, you have Jankowski and you got Manuel Margot on your team, and even Nick Martini. But you continue to play Will Myers center field, and in games I see he's not making great plays. You're going to continue to embarrass him. The Reds, O'Grady, stop playing him out of position. Stop playing Van Meter out of position. Van Meter's a first baseman. But I mean, as an outfielder, don't play him in second base or first base. O'Grady, who is a first baseman, I've seen him in center field. They're throwing infielders in the outfield like they did Peraza this season. Just keep it simple. And they've even been playing Michael Lorenzen in center field. That's one thing. Michael Lorenzen can play the outfield. That's a pitcher, but we're talking about first basemen playing the outfield and outfielders playing first base and second base. Angels are playing third baseman Ward in the outfield, Thias a first baseman at third base, and they're still having Trevor Cale and Mejia in the pen when they have no starting pitching, which is silly. And they're not playing a lot of Justin Bour with Ohtani, Trout, and Upton injured. You might as well. The Rays, a couple of times I've seen Avi Garcia lead off when they have plenty of guys who can lead off. And I've seen him in center field, and they got 4 guys who can play center field, and some infielders you can. And Jalen Beeks, instead of starting him, he's still pitching out of bullpen some days. Mariners, Shed Long, a second baseman. Now he's playing outfield. Lopes, a second baseman, is playing the outfield. Dylan Moore, who's a backup infielder, he's playing the outfield, even center field. And they're still using openers despite having like 6 or 7 guys on their 40-man roster who can start games. And Nola, the catcher, who's played a lot of first base and DH, and even second base, they're playing even third base. Continue to play guys out of position. Giants, they continue to play Stephen Vogt in left field because they haven't had much production from the outfield. You got him so he can play first base or DH or catcher, not to play the outfield. Phillies, a couple of times this week, Gene Segura leading off, finally. But then they go back to using Cesar Hernandez to lead off spot. That's fine. But at the same time, JT Realmuto should not be batting second. They're playing Brad Miller, Serpico, Phil Gosselin, Sean Kingery, you name it, all in the outfield, despite Adam Housley and Jay Bruce being on the active roster. Royals playing McBroom in the outfield, despite the fact that they have so many outfielders and they're playing Whit Merrifield in the outfield. It's because they got too many first baseman DHs. That's why they're going to play this McBroom guy in the outfield. The Marlins, Rojas and Birdie keep playing all over the place. Cooper's playing the outfield. Castro's playing third base, second base, shortstop, all over the place. Prince is not even starting in center field. They're playing Sierra at the same time. It's one thing if you don't start Prince whatsoever and you start Sierra in center field and Birdie, but don't start Prince at the same time when his best value is center field. Indians still batting Lindor leadoff. At least they're not playing Jake Bauers in left field. They've realized, we got to play Luplow and Allen in left field. Twins, there's so many times during the week where they'll play Marwin Gonzalez or Adrianza or Astadula or somebody else at first base and not CJ Cron. That's the opportunity to play Sano at first base and not third base. And at the same time, Arise, Gonzalez, you name it, Torres, Adrianza, they're playing the outfield. Jake Cave is starting in center field, which is nice. But then they're shifting all the way Rosario to right field. They have enough outfielders. They don't need to do that because they called up a bunch and they got Lamari back. They don't need to play infielders in the outfield. Red Sox, some days they're playing Benny in center field because they're giving Mookie Betts the day off and playing J.D. Martinez in right field and Sam Travis in left field. That's just not a great outfield. They're playing Brock Holt in the outfield because Mookie Betts hasn't played. That's one thing. But then Cashner's pitching out of the bullpen despite Price and Sale out for the year. And then Vasquez DHing. He's not a DH. He's known for his glove as well. No should be batting cleanup. The Orioles, most of this week, Trey Mancini was playing first base or DHing and batting third. But then 2 times he played second base and a couple times played right field. You almost got it perfect. The White Sox, despite having Cordell, Tilson, Leori Garcia, Polka. Yeah, let's continue to play Goins in right field when he's not an outfielder. The Jays, they're using openers despite having enough bodies on their 40-man roster who have started games in the career. And they almost went 1 week without starting Randall Grichuk in center field despite the fact they have like 6 outfielders. And the Cardinals have been playing a lot of Tommy Edman at third base or second base. That's one thing. But then they throw him in the outfield despite having enough outfielders also. It's just crazy. Let's take infielders and throw them in the outfield. Let's even take some outfielders and throw them in the infield. That was another weekly baseball observation for On the Radar Entertainment. I'm Radar. Tune in next week for another weekly observation from me, Radar.